Hi everybody, coming back at you at a second day of 8-3 factoring when a does not equal 1. I want to do a couple more problems today, get them a little more complicated, and show you what prime trinomials are, ones that can't be factored in fact. Alright, so reminder from yesterday, we want to multiply to AC, add to B, replace the middle term, and pull out the greatest common monomial factors. So here we go. Couple problems for you today. Now, we made it 1 through 5 yesterday in your text. I am skipping 6 for a moment. I will come back to it. I'm going to do 7, 8, 6, and 9 in that order for good reason. So, number 7 from your book, if you want to get open to those pages, I'm on, let's look back, 209 on the practice problems from your textbook. If you want them in front of you or your textbook open for learning purposes. But let's go ahead and get started with number 7. Number 1, check that it's in order. I've got a squared, just the regular old term in the middle, and then I've got at the end no term, so yes, it is in order. Here, let me quick pop down this recording box. Alright, so let's find what AC multiplies to. So, in my A position, I've got 3, in my C position, I've got 5, that's 15. Go ahead and write the factors of 15. There aren't too many, which is good. And then I want to look at my middle term. I need it to equal 8 when I add them together. Well, 1 and 15 aren't going to do that, so I'm going to use 3 and 5. They're both going to be positive because 3 times 5 is 15 and 3 plus 5 is 8. So let's go ahead and use 3 and 5. Write your first term. Rewrite the middle terms. Now let's think this through. Do I want to put the 3 here or the 5 here? I'm going to put the 3 here because the 3 and the 3 go much better together. So I'm going to have plus 3m. I'm replacing this middle term. Remember, I got to throw the m on it because I'm just replacing the middle term. Plus 5m plus 5. Go ahead and put parentheses around each of the 2 terms. You can leave the plus with the 5, just indicating that it's positive, and that's okay. Let's go ahead and pull out the greatest common monomial factor. It appears I can pull a 3m out of this first one because they both share that. Divide both by 3m. And see what you get. Cancel, and m squared divided by m is just 1m plus 3m divided by 3m is 1. So I would like whatever I pull out to give up me m plus 1 in my next set of parentheses. So it looks like I can pull a 5 out of both of these, and that's a positive 5, so it'll be plus 5. And then go ahead and divide both by 5, and I, again, get m plus 1. All right, rewrite 3m, and it's positive, so 5, so I'm going to write plus 5. And then I'd have m plus 1. For our first problem, let's just do a little check that we got that right. It's a box method it or FOIL it, your choice. So I have 3m, oops, you know what, I wrote something wrong in there, and hopefully you saw that. This is McGillis, right? 3m, oh no, I wrote that right. Thought I wrote it wrong. Plus 5, let's put it back. I had it right. 3m plus 5, and m and 1. Let's go ahead and multiply, so I get 3m squared, which is what I want. I get 5m and 3m, which is what I want. So that'll give me my 8m I have in the middle. Positive 5 on the end. Check. Got it right. All right, next problem, number 8. It's in order, squared, regular term, no variable. So got that going for me. I've got a 6 and a 15. Now that is a little bigger than we've been doing so far. So I got to multiply 6 times 15. If you know it off the top of your head, great. If you don't, it's 90. 6 and 15 is 90. Now they're both positive. Okay, so it's positive 90. Let's write down the factors of 90. There's a bunch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factors. I'm going to write them all for you. So we get 1 and 90, 2 and 45, 3 and 30, 5 and 18, and now I know I'm doing this fast, but you're going to be using a calculator to find all these multiplication problems. 6 and 15, there's one more, 9 and 10. Okay, now I need to go back and look at B. What am I making? Well, I'm making negative 19. So when I have a positive 90 and a negative 19, I already know in my head they're both going to be negative factors. So I go through and I think, all right, which ones are going to give me negative 19? If I look all the way down to the bottom at 9 and 10, I should think, what? 19 if I add them together. So I'm going to use 9 and 10, and they are both going to be negative because negative 9 times negative 10 is positive 90, which is what I want. But negative 9 plus negative 10 is negative 19, which is also what I want. All right, let's go ahead and group these together and rewrite the middle term. So let's do 6x squared, our first term, and then our last term would be plus 15. Let's rewrite my middle term, and let's see what makes sense here. I got a negative 9 and a negative 10. It makes more sense to put the negative 9 with the 6 because they both have a factor of 3. So it's minus 9, and again, it's the middle term, so it gets the variable. And minus 10, and again, it's the middle term, so it gets the variable. All right, group them together. Leave that negative on the 10. And let's pull out the greatest common monomial factor. 6x squared and 9. I can go ahead and pull out a 3x. So if I pull out a 3x and I divide both by 3x, I would get 2x. These cancel. So minus 3. All right, whatever I pull out of the next one, I got to get 2x minus 3. Let's see. 10 and 15. They do have a factor of 5. Now evaluate. Do I want to pull out a negative 5 or a positive 5? Well, I want to pull out a negative 5 because I want to turn that 15 into minus 3. So I'm going to pull out negative 5. Divide both by the greatest common monomial factor. Negative 10 divided by negative 5 is positive 2x. That's exactly what I want. 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3. That's exactly what I want. Last step, rewrite it appropriately. So I get one term that's 3x minus 5. And a second term, remember, just write it once, 2x minus 3. There, folks, is your final answer. All right, we're going to jump back now to 6. So the reason I skipped this one before is because I got two different variables in this problem, and that makes it just slightly trickier, but the rules are still the same. Your book pretty much will always give you these in order. I get that there's a squared on the first term, and I get that there's a squared on the second term, but the hint is s comes before t, so the s squared term should be my first term. My middle variable should be st, or the combined of the two terms, and the last one's going to be squared too. So I know these look a little bit odd and a little bit different. They're done essentially the same way. All right, so if I'm telling you they're in order, we still got to figure out what AC is. Well, AC, don't forget about the variables for a minute, is 4 times 5. 20. Okay, we're going to play this kind of the same way yet. So I'm going to do 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. Still forgetting about the variables for a minute. I got to figure out, and that's positive, so how do I make 12? Well, if I go back and look, I see 2 and 10 make sense to make 12. Because 2 times 10 is 20, and 2 plus 10 is 12. All right, rules are still the same. Write the first term, write the last term, and then just replace the middle terms. Now I got a 2 and a 10, so I'm going to put the 2 with the 4, because that seems to make more sense, and I write the variable portion. And then it's positive 10, and I again write the variable portion, because we're just replacing the middle term. 2st plus 10st is still 12st. We just replaced the middle term. It's the exact same thing. All right, now we factor again by grouping the binomials together. This is the same. Keep that plus with the 10 because it indicates it's positive. All right, 4s squared and 2st. Well, I look at the numbers first, and I see they share 2. Great, I'll put that down. And I see they share an s as well. So I'm going to pull out 2s out of each of these. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. S squared divided by s is just an s, a plus sign. 2 divided by 2 is 1. They cancel. S is canceled. The only thing I'm left with is a t. So whatever I pull out of the next term, I want it to be 2s plus t. All right, look at 10 and 5. 10 and 5 share a factor of 5. So we can pull that out. And I see they both actually have a t, so I can pull a t out. They do not both have an s, so I can't pull that out. All right, so let's divide both by 5t. Look what I get. 10 divided by 5 is 2. The t's cancel. I'm left with just an s. Perfect. And then 5 and 5 cancel, and I just have 1t left. That's exactly what I need. So rewrite your binomials. I have a 2s, and because this is a positive 5, it's plus 5t. And be careful, I write all of that. It's kind of a lot. And then both my middle terms matched, which is exactly what I want. So I have 2s plus t. There is your final answer. To check that, you would use the box method. All right, one more like this, and then a couple about prime, and we're good to go. All right, I got two variables again, a's and b's, and that's okay. So it's in order because my a squared is first, my b squared is third. They're alphabetically in order. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply AC. So AC is 3 and negative 6. Careful, leave it negative, which is negative 18. Right, my factors of 18. 118, 2, 9, 3, and 6. Right, that's all of them. And I need to figure out how I make negative 7. Now, this was negative, which means one of my two factors has to be negative. So let's think about which one it is. I'm looking at 9 and 2 as my answer. And that seems to give me 7. And I need to make one of them negative. And I want to make it the 9. And the reason is because negative 9 plus positive 2 is that negative 7 I wanted. And negative 9 times 2 is that negative 18 I wanted. All right, rewrite the middle term. So I'd have 3a squared. My last term was negative or minus 6b squared. And I got a 2 and a 9 to work with. A 2 and a 9. I think that I'm going to put the 9 with the 3. That seems to make more sense. So I'm going to have 3a squared minus 9, using the variables that I have there. And then I'd have plus 2, because it was positive 2. And again, using the variables because I'm rewriting the middle term. All right, let's group them. Keep the positive with the 2ab just because it indicates it's positive, or the plus sign, excuse me. Pull out the greatest common monomial factor, 3 and 9, pull out a 3. A squared, A, plug in A. That's all I can pull out. They both don't share a B. Divide by 3A on both terms. Cancel. Just left with an A. And 9 divided by 3 is 3, and it's negative 9, so minus 3. The A's cancel, I'm left with a B. So, all right, whatever I get in my next parentheses, I need it to be A minus 3B. All right. So I look at 2 and 6, I can see I can pull out a 3, and I just want it to be a 3, not a negative 3, because that's in the order I want it. It says minus 6 right now, and so I would like to keep it that way, so I'm going to pull out a 3, and I can see they both share a factor of B, so I'm going to pull out a B as well, and let's divide both by, just kidding, I pull out a 2B, let's do this right, Mrs. McGillis, so let's pull out a 2B, we're going to divide both by 2B. There we go, that looks a little bit better. 2's cancel, B's cancel. Oh, good, I'm left with just an A, which is what I wanted. And then 6 divided by 2, it's minus, is 3. And then one of the two B's cancels, so I'm left with 3B. Perfect, that's exactly what I wanted. Rewrite it. 3A, because this is positive 2B, it would be plus 2B. And then I write the parentheses that I have that match, A minus 3B. All right, that's all the practice problems. Now I want you to tell me, and I'm going to tell you the next 3 problems are all prime, and I want you to prove that they're prime. And to do that, we're going to follow the steps, but we won't be able to finish because I'm telling you they're prime. So let's start with our steps. 1, it's in order, so that's good. So AC is 9 times 2. This 9 times this 2, which is 18. Right, let's write the factors of 18. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. How do we make negative 9? Okay, the only one that could give me negative 9 is negative 3 and negative 6, right? Or is 3 and 6, excuse me. So I could make them both negative. And if I make them both negative, it appears this one might work. Let's try it. Let's keep going with it. Let's see. Negative 3 times negative 6 would give me positive 18. Negative 3 plus negative 6 would give me negative 9. All right, let's try it. Maybe this one actually does work. All right, so I have 9x squared. And then I'm thinking I should put the 3 next. So minus 3 using the x. Minus 6x plus 2. Let's factor it. Maybe it doesn't work. So let's factor it and see what we can pull out. All right, grouping together. And let's pull out the greatest common monomial factor. Ooh, 9 and 3. Share a factor of 3x. So we'll divide both by 3x. All right, so I get 9 divided by 3 is 3x minus 1. And then if I pull out, can I get a, oh, this one might work. I think your book might have a typo in it. What can I pull out? I can pull out a 2, but I want it to be negative, so minus 2. So if I divide by both of these by negative 2, I get 3x minus 1. I think your book has a typo in it. I'm glad we're doing this together. So rewrite, because my parentheses match, I'd get 3x minus 2 and 3x minus 1. Well, that one looked like it worked. Let's try the next one. So let's do number 11. Let's see if this one's prime. All right, let's do it again. A times C is negative 12. 3 times negative 4. Let's write the factors. 1 and 12. 2 and 6. 3 and 4. What do I need to add to? I need to add positive 3. Well, here we go. Which ones of these factors adds to where the b has a 3 here? This one I can never adjust to make it 3. This one I cannot make 3. And this one I cannot make 3. Your explanation, it is not possible to make A times C equal B. Or maybe we write factors do not add to B. All right, number 12, last one. Oops, missed. Try again. There we go. Right, it's in order. I got squared. Oops, I think that 12, I missed a little letter on it. Let's double check it. Oh, no, I didn't miss a letter on it. Oh, I already see a mistake right away, considering this one has a T in the middle and there's no T anywhere else. So there's one mistake, and your book has it as such. But let's also just double check the math on it. Let's write the factors of AC. So 10 times 6 is 60. So yeah, there's a lot of them here. So ready for them all? 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 10, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, and 6 and 10. So for the fact that it's also missing, this should be t squared here at the end, but it doesn't even have that. So there's one mistake. Well, let's just see. Could we make 21 out of any of these? Let's positive 60 and positive 21. So either both have to be negative or both have to be positive. And if we look down this list, this one gets close. It's 19. That's the closest one there. So we can't even make 21 out of this. So for the fact that there are two mistakes, so the last term is missing t squared and no factors add to the B position. All right, that is all your notes for today. Good luck with your homework and everything that's going on. We'll have another math lesson soon. Good luck, everybody.